Good afternoon, everybody. To everybody here and to everybody watching and listening, I'm Sergeant Frank Jang of IHIT. Today we have three speakers with us, senior managers from the RCMP IHIT, as well as the Mayor of the District of North Vancouver. Our first speaker is going to be Superintendent Yannick Bandaogo, Officer in charge of the North Vancouver RCMP. Following him will be Mayor Mike Little, Mayor of the District of North Vancouver. Following him will be Inspector Michelle Tansey, the Acting Officer in charge of the Integrated Homicide Investigation Team. After they've presented, there will be an opportunity for the media to ask questions. Okay. So our first speaker, Superintendent Bandaogo.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Superintendent Yannick Bandaogo, the officer in charge of the North Vancouver RCMP detachment. I'm incredibly saddened and outraged by the violence that took place last Saturday. The Lynn Valley Library is a peaceful place, a place where our community comes together to learn and to explore. There were children here on Saturday, and many of those injured have children of their own. I want you to know that your library and your community, North Vancouver, is safe, and that all the people you see here today, with me, beside me, behind me, will continue to make sure it stays safe. It was heartening to see the many people who stepped up to help during what was a dynamic and dangerous situation. We want to acknowledge our paramedics, our firefighters, our RCMP members, and commend those civilians, the Good Samaritans who cared for the injured and kept others safe. We are deeply grateful for your courage and your selflessness. Your quick and heroic actions in the face of unspeakable violence no doubt saved lives. It makes me feel humbled and proud to be your police chief. Many of our members, our RCMP officers and staff, live in North Vancouver. Please know that we are all experiencing the emotional impact alongside you. We are mourning the loss of a community member and keeping all of those affected by this weekend's tragedy in our thoughts and our hearts. North Vancouver is a strong and resilient community, and together with the incredible help and support from our investigative partners at IHIT, support from Mayor Little, the School District 44, we will get through this, and we are offering some tangible ways in which to do this. To help our community cope with this tragedy, we have worked closely with the District of North Vancouver and other partners, including the City of North Vancouver, the North Shore Emergency Management, School District 44, and many other community service providers to establish a wellness and resiliency center for our community to receive additional support such as counseling, grief counseling. I will let the Mayor speak to this shortly. My statement will be translated in français for those stations that are CTV French, and then I'll introduce the Mayor of the District of North Vancouver. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So at this time, we have Staff Sergeant Martin Gay with the Lower Mainland District RCMP with us. He will be providing the information in French.
Bonjour. Je suis le sergent état-major Martin Gay, agent des relations avec les médias en Colombie-Britannique pour la GRC. Nous sommes incroyablement attristés et indignés par les actes de violence qui ont eu lieu samedi dernier. La bibliothèque de Lynn Valley est un endroit paisible, un endroit où les résidents de notre collectivité viennent apprendre et explorer. Des enfants étaient présents ici samedi dernier et de nombreuses personnes ont été blessées. Eux-mêmes ont des enfants. Nous voulons vous informer que la bibliothèque et la communauté sont en sécurité et que ceux et celles qui sont ici aujourd'hui veillent à ce qu'il soit ainsi. Il était encourageant de voir des gens qui sont intervenus et qui ont porté assistance au cours de cette situation dynamique et dangereuse. Nous voulons rendre hommage aux ambulanciers, aux pompiers, aux policiers et policières de la GRC et féliciter les personnes, les bons Samaritains qui ont pris soin des blessés et les ont protégés. Nous leur en sommes profondément reconnaissants pour leur courage et leur altruisme. Vos actions rapides et héroïques devant une telle violence ont sans doute sauvé des vies. Le surintendant Bayani est honoré et fier d'être l'officier responsable du détachement de North Vancouver. Plusieurs de nos membres et employés vivent dans la ville de North Vancouver. Sachez que nous avons tous été affectés par cet événement. Nous sommes attristés par la perte d'un membre de notre communauté. Nos pensées accompagnent tous ceux et celles qui ont été touchés par cette tragédie. Pour aider notre communauté à faire face à cette stratégie, nous travaillons étroitement avec le district du Nord de Vancouver et d'autres partenaires, notamment la ville de North Vancouver, la gestion des urgences de la Côte-Nord, le district scolaire 44 et leurs nombreux partenaires communautaires pour établir un centre de mieux-être et de résilience pour notre collectivité afin de recevoir du support additionnel. Tel que mentionné, le maire du district de North Vancouver, Mike Little, sera en mesure de vous donner plus d'informations à ce sujet. Merci.
I would now like to introduce the District of North Vancouver Mayor, Mayor Mike Little, who's going to provide some more information about the Resiliency and Wellness Center and share some additional information with you. Your Worship.
Thank you, Superintendent Bayani. My name is Mike Little. I'm the mayor for the District of North Vancouver. And I just want to convey to you today how utterly shocked and saddened our community is over the events that have happened here in this last Saturday. On behalf of the council and district staff, I want to offer our support and well wishes to the victims, their families and friends, and those who witnessed the attack. And of course, all of those other people in our community who have been affected by these events. No one expects to be confronted with violence while going about their day in a civic plaza, outside a library, and just running their errands for the course of the day. It's an absolute shock. North Vancouver is a caring and resilient community. This past year has tested us, and yet I know our community will continue to stand strong and support one another. That's just how North Vancouver is. I've heard stories of bravery and kindness that are coming out of this horror, like restaurant staff helping the injured, strangers rushing to administer first aid, and other acts of compassion and bravery that we will all need to recognize in the coming months. The messages of support have been coming in from across BC and frankly right across Canada over the last couple of days. I appreciate that, and I know the residents of the District of North Vancouver appreciate that support as well. I'd like to thank our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, for his words of support on behalf of all Canadians, and Minister Bill Bell, our Federal Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness. As well, our Premier Horgan was thinking about our community and expressed his sorrow at events on Saturday afternoon. On behalf of the community, thank you very much. I also want to recognize that we have a couple of people present here who are going to be critical in helping our community heal. We have our Superintendent of Schools, Mark Permain, and we have District Principal here, Brad Baker. Thank you very much for what you've done so far. It's going to be critical to get kids back to a healthy spot in our community. I want to thank first responders who quickly arrived on scene to arrest the suspect, help the victims, and rush the injured to hospital. We are grateful for the support and for your tireless work to help when our community needed you most. In addition to our own District of North Vancouver Fire and Rescue Services, we were supported by our neighbors. West Vancouver Police Department, the Vancouver Police Department, our own, obviously, RCMP resources with the IHIT team that came in, And then also City of North Vancouver, our good neighbors, provided additional support with fire and rescue services. And while our resources were here, they were going around in our community and helping respond to calls at other locations as well. So I want to send a special note of appreciation to our neighbors at the City of North Vancouver for their assistance. For the members of our community, North Shore Management has set up a wellness and resiliency center at Karen Magnuson Community Rec Center, just a few blocks away from here, and it's open right now. This center is a space for the community to access services to support your mental and emotional well-being. The center is open from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily for the next 7 days. Grief counselors will be available on site to provide support. COVID safety protocols will be in place and PPE will be provided for people who need it. I'd like to thank the North Shore Emergency Management Team, the City of North Vancouver and District of West Vancouver, and our partners in providing this opportunity to help the community process what has happened. Our emergency social services volunteers will be there, along with disaster volunteer clinicians and volunteers from the Salvation Army. We will continue to engage with the North Shore service agencies to support the Wellness and Resilience Center going forward. I want to thank everybody here today and all of the services and volunteers in the community that stepped up to help out with this on behalf of a very grateful community. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you, Mayor Little. Our last speaker will be Acting Officer in Charge of IHIT, Inspector Michelle Tansey. Ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to first offer my condolences to the family of the young woman who died as a result of what happened here 2 days ago. I also join the community personally in wanting to wish everyone a speedy and full recovery to those who were injured, as well as our thoughts and prayers. Many of you may be aware that the Integrated Homicide Investigation Team secured a second-degree murder charge against 28-year-old Yannick Bandaogo yesterday. As you can appreciate, we are still in the early stages of our investigation. We continue to investigate the potential motive behind the incident, as well as the suspect's background and history in British Columbia. We can confirm at this time that Mr. Bandaogo has links to Quebec. For the past 48 hours, since IHIT took conduct of this homicide investigation on Saturday afternoon, we can establish that the accused was unknown and did not have any links to any of the victims based on our information so far. The accused does have links to Quebec, and we're still trying to determine what brought him to the West Coast. We have secured a charge of second-degree murder against the suspect, and he did make his first court appearance today. We have interviewed over 50 witnesses, and we have spoken to all 6 victims. We urge anyone that hasn't contacted IHIT already, who may have video, to please reach out to us. From the onset, specialized units from the lower mainland districts, integrated teams, have all been involved in this case, and we are working closely with the North Vancouver's RCMP's Investigative Services team. We understand that there will be questions about the suspect and the desire to understand the motive behind this senseless act. But we are still in the early stages, and we may not be able to provide you answers at this time. Your questions are reasonable and understandable, but our investigation is still early on, and I assure you it is far from over. I realize that this is a profound and tragic incident that has deeply affected a great many people, especially the members of the Lynn Valley community. Please know that IHIT is committed to completing a full and complete investigation, leaving no stone unturned. Thank you.
So at this time, we can take questions from our media partners. Now I ask you to please address the speaker to whom you're asking the question, okay? Thank you. Kim.
Your question was if all the victims. At this time, what I can advise you in terms of the victims, there is 5 female victims and 1 male victim, ranging in age from 22 years of age to 78 years of age. We are aware of the suspect having a criminal record in Quebec with a criminal record with a history of violence. I cannot say at that time. This is still unknown. We're trying to determine that.
Inspector Tansey,
Yes.
you can tell us about possible radicalization that this suspect may have experienced at some point?
That is not what we're looking at right now. There's no nexus for us in this investigation to believe that there's anything in relation to radicalization. We're focusing on the investigation right now, and there is nothing that has come about to speak to that. At this point, what we're looking at is we always consider mental health in terms of the assessment of the suspect, and everything is being assessed at this point.
We've heard that the suspect was seen in the area some days leading up to this was happened. And the police have recalled about erratic behavior seen prior to this.
At this time, what we're looking at in terms of the investigation is we're assessing a large variety of video canvas to determine the suspect's whereabouts leading up to the day of the homicide. And at this point, we can't really speak to steps or anything that had taken place in terms of interactions with the public.
Do you know when he came to the West Coast?
I'm not able to say that at this point. It's unknown. It's unknown at this time for when he came to the West Coast. Sorry? The suspect, Mr. Bandaogo, has outstanding warrants in Quebec as well as in Winnipeg.
Can you comment on whether or not he was recently discharged from hospital back now?
I cannot comment on that.
Can you tell us when the warrant from Winnipeg came to?
I'm not able to say when the warrant took place. The investigators are looking into that information right now to know all the details surrounding that, but I'm not able to give that right now.
Now that there's a deceased person, IHIT will assume conduct of the entire investigation with support from the North Vancouver RCMP, including the other 6 victims as well.
Just one more perhaps for either of you. Did he have any connection to North Van that you know of?
At this time, there's no link to how Mr. Bandaogo came to the North Van area, or that he actually had any ties in the North Van community. I'm not able to give any information in relation to the suspect's health, other than what was released yesterday in terms of sustaining self-inflicted injuries at this time. He is in custody, so that's all I can say at this point. Sorry? I'm not going to be specific in terms of the sequence of events. It's on the early parts of the investigation in terms of what took place. Sorry? At this point, we are not going to be releasing the name of the victim. The family has asked for privacy. In this circumstance, there's no need to release the name of our victim, as it would not advance the investigation. I can say that in speaking with the investigators today, that it was not specific in terms of, it is so early on in the investigation. We are 2 days into the investigation, and there's such a mass amount of information coming in, and at this point we are trying to assess everything.
How much video have you collected to date, and are you going to use the VPD special lab to analyze it?
We have a vast amount of evidence in terms of video that's been collected to date. The RCMP has their own units in terms of being able to assess video, as well as our investigators.
I don't know if you already mentioned this, but it's on this.
It's right.
You said where he was living at the time, like what city he was in?
So Mr. Bandaogo was not a resident, like he was of no fixed address. Yeah.
And sorry, the victims are 20 to 78?
Ranging in age from 22 to 78.
And does the video search go into other jurisdictions such as Vancouver or West Van?
At this time, what we're looking at is assessing the days leading up to it. There is, like I said before, there's a mass amount of video that needs to be looked at, and we're looking at all of the things leading up to and after.
So where does that video come from? From Vancouver as well?
I'm not speaking, I can't speak to that right now. What we're looking at is the incident, basically looking prior to. I can't speak to where the video has been collected from.
So not just here?
Not specifically what we're looking at is here, and if there's a requirement to look elsewhere in terms of evidence that we have obtained, then we will do that. We'll take every step to obtain it. The suspect has first court appearance, and there'll probably be another court appearance sometime later this week.
Can you comment on the role that bystanders had in bringing the situation to an end?
I think Superintendent Bayani had already spoken to it. In terms of it, we're not going to get into the specifics, but there was many people that took a selfish act to basically step in and try and protect other people, which speak volumes of the community here within North Van. We're not going to be into the specifics of what took place, just because this is now going to be part of the court proceedings, but many people did step in.
I will say that once this investigation is over, we will be recognizing many members of the public for their heroic actions by way of commendation, by way of recognition for the sacrifice, and they put themselves at risk. So we will be doing that alongside with our District of North Vancouver partners as well.
So before we just conclude this afternoon's news conference, I'd just like to remind or ask our media partners if you could just refrain from going to the Carrot Magnuson Center, the Wellness and Resiliency Center that we've set up for members of the community to go and to receive support. We all need space, as you can understand, so please, if you could just refrain from going there right now. Just want to again say thank you to our speakers this afternoon. Thank you to our media partners today. And I don't think the cameras capture the people of Lynn Valley that are present here. So we want to say thank you to all of you, and to acknowledge your pain and the trauma that you have felt in the past few days. At this time, we have Staff Sergeant Martin Gay with us. So for our French media partners, if you'd like to ask your questions in French, he's available to do so. Otherwise, thank you all for coming. Thank you.